What comes next after the list in that whole process of you signing up people or people buying the product? What's that? Invite. Contact and invite, right? I don't think anybody in that list is going to come to your house, knock on the door in the morning and say, I heard you put my name in the list, please sign me up. That's not going to happen, right? So you need to contact them, you need to invite them. How many of you sitting here are extremely good in that process? How many of you sitting here have challenges in that process? How many of you sitting here have problems, difficulties, challenges, hesitations on inviting, contacting, or prospecting people? Put your hand up. All right. So shall we discuss on that for the next 1 hour? Only that for the next 1 hour. All right. Now if you master that process, okay? If you master that process of prospecting, if you master that process of contacting, inviting, how will that be beneficial for your business? How? Anybody want to put your hand up? Yeah, how is that going to be beneficial for your business? So now, for you to master this process, all right, of invitation, there are various stages. The first thing I want to share with you is something called as a prospecting mindset, okay? I hope you understand the word called as mindset. Mindset is basically a frame of mind. It's a particular frame of mind from which you operate, all right? Now, for you to achieve success in anything, you need to operate from a particular frame of mind, okay? Now that frame of mind will put you in a particular physical state also, all right? So it's a combination of mental as well as physical state, which is very much optimal for success in that particular activity, all right? Have you seen the 100 meters dash in Olympics? Have you seen that? The 100 meters run, you've seen that? Guys, have you seen 100 meters run in Olympics? Okay, have you seen me in that? Then you say you have seen it. Okay, how do people stand at the start line in it? Like this? Oh, they have a particular stance, right? Okay, which I don't want to show. Why do they stand like that? I mean, they could always stand like this. When the gun goes, they can just run. They don't do it. They don't stand like this. They have a particular stance, right? Which is the most suitable position for them to achieve their dream or their target, which is, coming first. So now you are in this process of prospecting, okay? And how is your mental and physical state when you talk to a prospect? When you're on the phone, what do? How do most of you prospect your people? Is it on the phone or you do it face to face? Face to face? Telephone? All right. Okay, you don't stand on the roof and shout out, hey, come. That doesn't work here? Okay. That's one of the most effective ways of prospecting. Now, I've seen a lot of people who prospect, who are like, they scratch their head, there's so much of hesitation and they start, the reason I called you, see, are you busy? Can I talk? You sure? If you want, I'll call you later, okay? No? Did you watch the movie yesterday on TV? Ah, okay. Your wife, kids, everybody okay? The other guy will say, I am not married. Then, I want to talk about, you like business? Does that happen to anybody sitting here? Oh, okay. Then you're all experts. No, then I should learn from you. In the initial stages when I used to invite people for presentation, it was a nightmare for me. Okay, I don't know whether I told you this. When I joined this business, if I would say that I was an introvert, that would be a massive understatement. Okay, I usually didn't talk to people much. I just had a very small group of friends, and that's all I used to hang around with. Okay, and so I just slowly over a period of time got converted into where I am today. And at this pace, I'm really worried where I'll be in another 2 years' time. So, when I realized that this is a major weakness on my part, which is, the fear when contacting people, then with the help of my uplines, with the help of my mentors, I started working on it. Okay? The first thing which really helped me to ease that fear was the proper understanding of what prospecting was. All right? What do you understand by prospecting? This is how I understand. Prospecting is a sorting process. Okay? Sorting, S-O-R-T-I-N-G, sorting process. Which means you're looking for something. When you're sorting for something, what do? When you don't find what you're looking for, you push aside the other things which come in your way, right? That's what you do when you sort things. And prospecting is basically that. And all that while, I was basically under the impression that prospecting means I have to somehow sign up anybody who comes in front of me. So prospecting was basically a kind of a nightmare for me because I was under this tremendous pressure to contact this person and somehow bring him for presentation, somehow sign him up. Right? And just this knowledge or this awareness that, I don't have to basically bring everybody to a presentation. All right? And it's a totally different process. That knowledge basically liberated me. All right, that helped me a lot. And then I was no more under pressure. I could kind of go on and go on, talking to people and sorting them. Okay? So, see, the first thing you need to understand in this very important skill called as invitation or prospecting is that it is a sorting process. Okay, you need to really drill it down because a lot of the people understand it intellectually, but they don't really, it doesn't really sink in. And every time they get a rejection from a prospect, they take it personally. All right? Now, if it is a sorting process, when you get a rejection, you don't take it personally. All right? It just becomes something which doesn't fit into the requirement that you're looking for. Okay? One thing that I've realized is people are actually willing to do things for others what they're not willing to do for themselves. Okay, now, all of you sitting here who have fear for prospecting or who have probably hundreds of reasons why you're not calling enough people every day to show the plan. If you were given a job, okay, which pays you $5,000 a month, and the job involved you to call 50 people every day from a telephone directory. That's the job, right? Doesn't matter. Call minimum 50 people every day from a telephone directory. Salary $5,000. How many of you want the job? Okay, without going into details, let me tell you this. Having a job mentality, basically what it is doing to you is, it is taking the ego out of that process. When you're doing it for yourself, you're taking those rejections personally, isn't it? Right? But then now you're suddenly into a job, and probably the rejections are, it doesn't matter. I don't know, I mean, who gets those rejections, but somehow it doesn't affect you anymore. But nothing else has changed. All right? It's you're calling people, you're using the same telephone, and I guess those people are still using the same words, which is no. But you don't have a problem calling 50 people the next day, 50 people the next day, and it just goes on. All right? So, I hope you understand, getting into a right frame of mind, getting into a right mindset is the foundation, is one of the most important steps of mastering this very important skill called prospecting. Okay? See, now, you might have your own reasons why you don't invite as many people as you should. Now, you might have your own reasons. Okay? See, one thing I learned very early on in our business, through the teachings of Patman, Dato Vijay, Japa and all that, is the way you define a problem is the key to finding its solution. The way you define a problem is actually the problem. The way you define a problem will decide whether you will actually find a solution to it, or whether you will stay in the rut forever. Okay? Let me give you an analogy. All right? Let's say you've been wearing a glass, okay, specs. All right? Let's say you've been wearing specs with blue lens. So when you wear specs with blue lens, what happens? Most of the things that you see would be blue in color, right? Let's assume you've been wearing this for quite a long time, okay? You've been wearing this for a long time that you have actually forgotten that you have specs on, okay? That you've forgotten that you have glasses on, okay? The people around you have actually forgotten that you actually have glasses, right? That kind of became the part of your body. See, now when we look through these glasses of, I don't know how to do it, I don't have the time, or, nobody is interested, all my downlines are lazy, my upline is not interested in supporting me, what will you find? Basically what you're looking through, isn't it? Right? So, your excuses are basically a very good gauge, a very good meter in finding out what color lens you have. All right? So it's not what I am saying. Your lens, you're saying. So we don't have an argument there, do we? I'm not saying you don't have time. I'm not saying that's your reason. It's basically your excuse. And your excuse is the color of your lens. Now, for you to get into this league of people who are master prospectors, right? Who would prospect like that and who would build their business so fast, and their downlines also do the same, you probably have to start off by throwing away those glasses, which you've been wearing for quite a long time. Are we ready for that? Okay. Let me ask you a question. Are everybody, or is everybody suitable for this business? I'm not asking whether everybody can do this business or not. That's not my question. My question is everybody suitable for this business? Okay. My answer. Can I give you my opinion? Okay. My opinion, no. everybody can do it. There's nothing preventing them, but not everybody is suitable. All right? Okay, let me ask you this question another way. Would you be able to write down about 4 or 5 characters of an ideal prospect? Is there something, if I would say, write down 4 or 5 characters, all right, or qualities of an ideal prospect, would you have anything to write down? I guess you would have, right? Burning desire, sense of urgency, willing to learn, willing to put in the time, open mind. Okay, there are quite a few things which you can write down. Okay, now, is it that everybody you know actually have all these qualities? They don't, right? So that's why I said everybody is not suitable. All right? Now, the frustration sets in when you get wrong people into the business. Okay? Now, you might think there is nothing called as a wrong person. Everybody can do this business. Well, if you want to succeed in this business and earn some money in your lifetime, then you might as well be very careful about the people whom you choose. All right? I don't think you want to earn your first check in the next 25 years. That's not your dream, right? Okay. So then you might be it helps to be selective in the people you want to bring into your business. Okay, you might be thinking it's with great difficulty I'm getting at least this person. Now you want me to be selective? Where am I going to get people from? Is that some of the thoughts at the back of your mind? Okay. Hang on with me. Sit there and shout out, guys. Okay. Qualification, right? Now, qualification based on what you need. Okay, what your requirements are. Right? So you have your requirements already. Will you give the job to a person just because he, promptly turned up at 9 o'clock in the morning? Why not? That was the first person you met. You don't want to give him the job? But you are so much focused on somehow pushing and signing up the first person whom you lay your eyes on. Why is that? Then with the same logic, you might as well give the job to the person you meet at 9 a.m., isn't it? Exactly. The requirements. All right, now it's easy for you to relate to the job example because you know what the requirements are and it's a process which is familiar to you. Right? Now in our business, definitely there are some qualities a person need to have to become successful in this business. Do you agree to that? Are there some qualities, some requirements a person should have to become successful in this business? All right, can a person who never puts in time, can the person be successful in this? All right, can a person who's not open to learning, who's a person who has his ego high up, right there up at the sky, can that person become successful? Very unlikely. All right? So when we know what are the qualities, right? What are the characters which will help a person to become successful, why don't we sort people accordingly? Why do we have to chase down everybody, hunt them down, and then kind of sit on them, with that process of trying to hash them out? One of the main reasons why a lot of people drop out from our business is because they sign up people who are not qualified in this business. When you sign up people who are not really qualified in this business, what happens? What kind of voice do they have? Okay, those kinds of people are what Chief Padman calls high maintenance people. Okay? You need to provide them motivation every second. They present to a prospect, the prospect sneezes, they get demotivated. All right, then you go to massage their back, tell them that's okay, don't worry. Take them, show them a training DVD or whatever, and the next time, they invite a person, the prospect doesn't turn up. The guy says, I told you this doesn't work, it is not going to happen. Do we have people like that? Okay. See, the prospecting process, I would want you to compare it with something like hunting versus fishing. Okay? See, in a hunting process, what do? You run behind something, right? You run behind an animal and you shoot it down. Okay? Now, once you shoot it down, see, when you run behind, or let's say when you're hunting, what is the animal actually doing? Is it coming towards you? It's running away from you, okay? Does that sound a little bit familiar with some of your prospecting procedure? Okay? When you're fishing, what happens? The fish comes to you, is it? All right. Great, you guys are very smart. Now, some people might say, either way, you are going to eat the animal or eat the fish, what the heck? See, when you're fishing, when you take the fish, and you find that the fish is not suitable, you can put it back to the water. Can you? Yes, of course you can. Now, when you hunt an animal, you shoot it down, and then you go and see, oh my God, it's a rabbit, I wanted a deer. What do? That's it. You can't do anything. All right? See, I've done a lot of research in this. I've spoken to a lot of people in the industry of network marketing, and I've realized that the two major reasons why people either quit or fail in our business is because, one, they talk to the wrong kind of people. All right? Which you can call as dream stealers. And these are people who have the voice which has taken a PhD master's degree. All right? And the second category of people is what we just described, the wrong kind of people, which is non-qualified people. They don't have the skills or they don't have those qualities which would help them to become successful in this business. All right? So now you got two options. You can either train that person, build that person up, spend X amount of time building that person, which is the best thing to do if the person has commitment. Okay? And I guess commitment is one of the qualities or one of the requirements that you would want to look for in a prospect, right? So if a person has commitment, then automatically the person becomes a qualified person, a qualified prospect, even if the prospect doesn't have much of skills. But if a person doesn't have skills and is not committed, I am yet to see somebody who have trained people like that and made them highly successful. Right? It's very difficult. Now you might hear a few examples of such cases when people give testimonies, right? That I was not at all committed, my upline helped me, and after 6 months I saw my check and then I became successful, right? The truth is, for every one such person, there are hundreds and thousands of other people who have quit their business and drowned pulling their upline. All right? So that's not something you might want to do right away, okay, off the bat when you start coming into the business. All right? Now there's one thing I want to tell when I'm sharing all these things. Now I understand that we have different people sitting here, okay, from different groups. You have your own way of doing the business. Whatever I am standing up here and sharing is basically my way of doing the business. Okay? Before you implement anything that I am sharing from here, you should consult your upline. Okay? I will not take responsibility if you're doing something what I did in whatever way you feel like and your checks go down. I'm not responsible. Your uplines are the best people to guide you as to how these principles can be used in your system. Right? Basically what we're talking about are various principles, right? So now you all have your systems. Each system has its own strategies and its own tactics. All right, now how exactly these principles can be used, the best people to guide you would be your uplines. Your uplines are the best people to guide you as to how these principles can be used in your system. Right? Basically what we're talking about are various principles, right? So now you all have your systems. Each system has its own strategies and its own tactics. All right, now how exactly these principles can be used, the best people to guide you would be your uplines. Is that clear? Are we in agreement there? Okay. See guys, the idea is, our business is called as network marketing. It is not called as network selling. Selling is different from marketing. Okay? Selling is where you go and push something down somebody's throat and then run away from there. That's selling. Marketing is where you put the word out. And then people who are looking for it, people who want it, approach you by various forms. All right? Now for the simplicity of this session, we will stick to the method of prospecting by phone and prospecting by face to face, all right? So you have this big list of people whom you will start off with. Now how would you know whether these people have these qualities or not? How will you know? By looking at their name? What, you'll go to sleep and the next day when you wake up, you already know what are their qualities and all that? How would you know the qualities of the people? You assume it. I can't hear you. You'll have to shout out. You need to speak to them, which means you'll have to find it out from them, right? Whether they have those qualities or not. And how would you find it out? By asking questions. Is that such a difficult thing to understand? I hope not. So you ask questions, right? All right. Now let's just hold on there, okay? Now you examine your prospecting process. All right? Your prospecting conversation, which you usually do with your prospects. And try to analyze it. I'm not going into detail, we don't have much time, but I'll give you something which I learned. I learned that my prospecting conversation was mostly statements. You might want to do a little bit of introspection as to what your prospecting conversation mostly consists of, but in my initial stages, it was mostly statements. I have, like for example, call somebody up, how are you doing? And, I have a wonderful business to share with you. Now, what does the prospect do? The prospect asks you a question, right? What is it? So I would say it is, interactive internet distribution, blah, blah, blah. Prospect asks, what is that? So I go to the next explanation. The prospect says, what is that? Then I say, draw a circle. And then the prospect says, oh, this scam. Okay. I'm not interested. Does it sound a little bit familiar? I basically want you to understand just two things here. One is something which is extremely important, which will influence your results 80%. All right? And that's not something what you say. It is called your posture. All right? It has got nothing to do with your words. It's called your posture. Posture affects results in our business big time. Are we together there? So what do we mean by this posture? What do you understand? Okay, just imagine the posture of a desperate person. Can you imagine? The posture of a desperate person. All right? How does that person look like? How does that person talk? All right? It's more pleading kind, right? Okay. What is the posture of a person with leadership qualities? More in control. All right? More in control. The person is not arrogant. Okay? The person is not rude. The person is more in control. All right? Now you are in a conversation with your prospect, right? That particular process is called as a conversation. Now that conversation has an objective. Your prospecting conversation has an objective. What is that objective? Okay, when I engage in a prospecting conversation, my objective is to find out whether the prospect qualifies or not. Okay, that's my objective. For quite some time. Initially, when I was doing this all wrong, my objective was somehow get that person for a presentation, cry, beg, plead, do whatever, sign that person up. Okay, that was my objective initially. But then, with that kind of an attitude, I actually, myself, Balaji, Manoj, Cherian, we all, in the initial stages of building our business, we went ahead and signed up quite a lot of people. All right? When you beg, plead, overpromise, do whatever, you can actually sign up a lot of people. But then what happens after some time? Right, we found it the hard way. All right, there were stages when we had 300 people, 1,000 people, 2,000 people at various stages in our networks, and then we went on a vacation, came back, network collapsed, died. Because they tried to do something, when we were not there, got 10 rejections, and those were people who just needed one rejection to quit the business. So 10 rejections kind of made them flat. All right? And then we realized that that's not the way of doing it. And that's how we started bringing in people who have a better chance of sticking in this business. And that also ensures your chance of sticking in this business. See guys, you need a lot of determination to pursue this business when you have 20 downlines who all have the voice with PhD. You understand? You need massive amount of courage, determination, all that stuff. And without being rude, can I tell you something? If you had that, you would have already been multimillionaires. Are we together? So the fact that we are getting started in this business and it's in the initial stages and all that is because for some reason we didn't have the courage or the determination or whatever, it required for us to look for opportunities in the past and make it big. All right? So in the initial stages, we have to safeguard ourselves. Okay? Your uplines would have told you, do not talk to dream stealers, right? They've told you? All right. Now if you bring in dream stealers and sign them up, what happens? A very pathetic situation, right? So, going back to the objective of a prospecting conversation, for me today, the only objective of a prospecting conversation is to find out whether the other person is suitable. Okay? So what was I trying to do with Khalid? When he said, I want to go to party, I wanted to know whether the reason for doing the business, if at all he would take up the business, the reason would be his desire to have an additional income, which he has expressed to me some time back. I wanted to know whether it is something serious or he was just kind of casually telling me. So if he said, no, I mean, income, forget it, I want to go party and all that stuff, I would have told, great, enjoy your party. All right? And then keep the phone, go to the next person. Now, it is difficult. It was very difficult for me to do in the initial stages because I was sitting with a contact list of 20 people. And if I were to qualify and disqualify people from the list of 20 prospects, how many qualified prospects would I end up with? In all probability, nobody. All right? So, if we are operating from a scarcity mentality, okay? If you're operating from something like a 20 people contact list or 50 people contact list, then these methods, these ways don't work. Now yesterday, Cherian explained to you how you can come up with a big list of prospects, right? People, prospects are basically the building blocks of our business. And that's something which we need in plenty. And the prospects are what? People, right? And people are actually in plenty on this planet. Did you realize that actually? Just in case you didn't realize, just look around. What you see all around you is called as people. And there are people, there are moving objects just like these sitting around you outside this tent in big numbers. Do you realize that? Okay, they don't line up in front of your door and say, here I am. That doesn't happen. You have to go out and talk to them. That's understood, right? Okay. See now, when you engage in a conversation and the objective of that conversation is only known to you, then who should be in control of that conversation? You should be, right? And what is the best way of getting control of a conversation? Asking questions. There you go. So when our prospecting conversation is dominated by statements, your prospect gets to ask questions. And your prospect decides the direction of that conversation, which is not exactly the direction you would want to take it, right? Now, our idea is not to kind of force everybody whom we meet and manipulate them, play around with words and somehow kind of sign them up. That's not the idea, right? Like I told you, the only idea is find out whether the other person has those qualities, those characters which we are looking for in a prospect. And for you to do that, I guess the only way, unless you know mind reading, is by asking questions. So you might want to kind of sit with your upline and kind of go over, the way you're inviting people. And your upline will be able to fine-tune it for you. Because it's something which we wouldn't be able to do it ourselves. It's kind of difficult, all right? When you pick up the phone and start a conversation, it kind of automatically goes in a particular way, all right? All of us sitting here have not been in any kind of profession, at least majority of us sitting here have not been any kind of a profession where our major activity was picking up the phone and inviting people to some place. The maximum we would have invited people would have been for a birthday party, or, going out for a movie or going out for dinner. That would be mostly the nature of the invitation conversations that we might have had. All right, now inviting for a business is a little bit different game. Are we together? All right, so, invitation is one key area. That's the mouth of the funnel, right? And you would want to filter the right kind of people through that. So, you can sit with your upline and kind of fine-tune that process, all right? Now, when you go out into the shopping malls, into various places where you can meet prospects. See, before this particular term called as prospecting, it would be very, very convenient if you could add a particular term called as a suspect. All right? So before considering a person as a prospect, it kind of helps the process. That's why. All right? So you can kind of suspect whether this person can be a prospect. All right? Now, how would you move a person, or how would you qualify a person from a suspect to a prospect? How do you do it? Asking questions. There's no other magical way, all right? The method is asking questions. Now, what kind of questions can you ask? After you have established your rapport, or whatever you would want to call it as, you have asked a few questions or whatever, there has to be some key questions which you can kind of automatically ask to people, which would move them from a suspect category to a prospect category. Okay? Asking for name, phone number, family details, name of their mother-in-law, and all that stuff is basically called as rapport building, right? You're building up your rapport. After that, what do you do?
Go and you invite him.
See, now you're not moved that person to a prospect. Okay, the person is a suspect. You just met the person on the road somewhere. Probably you were in in a bank, in line, and the person was standing in front of you in the line. All right? So now, how do you know whether this person is a prospect? Okay? A prospect is basically somebody who's at least looking for something. Okay? A qualified prospect would be somebody who has all your requirements. All right? Questions like, Um, let's say, where do you work? Okay, and then followed up by a question, so how do you like it there? All right? Questions like, so how often do you get a raise in your job? All right? And if the person says, that's almost next to never, you can do a follow-up question like, so how do you cope with the rising prices then? So questions, which is like, what are these? These are small sensors, you're putting out to find out if this guy has any heartbeat. Okay? Now, prospects are people who have live dreams, right? Qualified prospects are people who have live dreams, who have reasons for doing things. So you're just putting out a few things out there to find out if this guy is alive or not, or is it somebody who kind of died at the age of 30 and is getting buried at the age of 70. All right? Because those people are not fit for you. I mean, they're not suitable for you in your business. So if the person answers questions like, I don't know, it's been always a concern for me, I never get a rise, the costs are rising, I don't know what to do, Now what? Okay, probably a prospect, right? So depending on whether you have time there or not, you can take it to the next level. And the best way would be, you know what, maybe I'll be able to help you, but let's say give me your name and number, all right? So now that becomes a prospect. And then you can go home after 1 day, 2 days, call the prospect up, say, hi Khaled, remember we met at the bank? Oh yeah, hi Arun. See, the reason I called you was when we were talking in the bank, you said that you're seriously looking for something, for earning some additional income and all that stuff. The main reason I called you is to find out how serious you are in that. Is that something which you really want to consider, or is it something you just casually told me because you're in that mess? So depending on that answer, we can move forward. Okay? So you don't have to write these down, but all that what I'm trying to tell you is one of the best ways of you mastering this particular area called as invitation or prospecting is by learning to ask questions. And you combine that with posture, right? Then you hit the sweet spot. And then prospecting will become fun for you. The reason why people don't do many things that they are supposed to do is because it is not fun anymore, right? When it takes a lot of effort, a lot of hard work to do something, then it is not something that you do on a continuous basis. All right? Now, when you walk around talking to people, you will definitely find people who will put you down. Will you find them? They are in plenty. So when you find people who will put you down, who will kind of make fun of you, or who will, who have this big skepticism, and there is no way you can break through that skepticism, what should you do? Run away. Even better, you reject them. Shall I teach you how to do it? Now, if I teach you this, you have to promise to me you will do this to somebody within the first 24 hours you walk out of this convention. You have to do that, all right? Find a dream stealer, do this. And then you should observe what happens to your confidence. All right? So let us say we met somebody saying, all this pyramid, I don't know. Yeah, all illegal, this doesn't, only the top people make money, and this company scam, this is glass coaster, I know, and this and that and all that. So you stop. You don't say anything. All right? And if the person is right in front of you, look at the face. Or if it's on the phone, just keep silent. Let the person finish. Okay, you might have tried one or two sentences before to find out if there is any way you can break through, and if there's no other way, and this guy is just on a rampage of vomiting upon you. All right? So then you stop, all right? And then you say, you know what, Arun, see, this business, I don't think you can make money in this business. For you to make money in this business, you have to be open-minded. You have to be somebody who's willing to learn and stuff like that. And I don't think you are such a person. So I don't think you can make any money in this. I think you'll have to settle with what you have right now. Goodbye. You can do that? Can you do that or not? And when you reject somebody, now you're not rejecting somebody who says, I want to do it, I will do this, build it. You're not going to reject that person by saying this. All right? But this you're going to do for who? The people with voices that have taken PhD, right? Okay. So with them, you're going to say, I don't think you can make money in this. For a person to make a lot of money in this business, the person has to be open, the person has to be, the person should be daring, the person should be capable of leadership, the person should be capable of, leading people, and I don't think you are such a person. I don't think you have those qualities, so I don't think you can make money in this. So what do you think the person is going to say? First of all, the person will snap out of the state that person is in. Okay? Because the expectation is what? You will plead, right? You will try to convince that person. That's the expectation. Right? And then when you say this, the person suddenly, oh, what? No? Huh? Why do you say that? I mean, why do you say I don't have it? You can say, you don't know anything about it, and you're just going on and making assumptions, and you're not even willing to take a look at it properly. So I don't think you are a person who can lead people. I don't think you're a person who's open-minded. Or are you? See, prospects, especially people with qualities, all right, they're usually more attracted to people with leadership skills, all right? Now, if you would want to attract, I told you, prospecting is basically more or less an attraction process, like fishing, They come to you, all right? You're not chasing them and hunting them down. But for people to come to you, or when you engage in a small conversation, for people to, wanting to keep on talking to you, you should be able to provide some value in that conversation. All right? And that value basically gets conveyed in a lot of ways. It's not just in words, your posture. Leadership, from my understanding and from what I've observed, watching all these great leaders that we have in the V, many a times when a leader walks in, even without that leader opening their mouth, you come to know that this is a special person, right? And that's from that posture. All right? So, when you see people who you feel that they can lead you to something you want, you being attracted is not an option. All right? It's there in people. Okay, that's how tribes were formed. You know, how were tribes formed? You know, the tribe leader was usually the strongest person who could protect the people in the tribe. And the people slowly started associating with that person. All right? Have you seen people who are, you know, famous or have some kind of a higher status? People want to be close with them, right? They want to be associated with them. So your prospecting will become all the more fun if you are able to build up that value within yourself. And how are you going to do it? By constantly educating yourself, by constantly deriving that value from your upline. You know, your upline leaders, right? They are people who have traveled through that path of leadership a few steps ahead of you. And it's easier for you to derive it from them by associating with them. Are we together? All right. So you might want to move to a house which is closer to your upline leader. Might help, you never know. Okay, you know, I want to play a song which, you know, it kind of symbolizes, or I don't know how I can put it, but it basically gives me the attitude of a person, how I should behave or respond to people whose only purpose in life is to put me down. Okay, now unfortunately there are people like that, okay? We can't control people. People are of different kind, right? And I have learned this quite some time back, that I'm not God. So I cannot, you know, go on and change people forever. It doesn't happen. So I might as well attempt changing myself and work with people who want to change themselves. All right? Instead of working with people upon whom I have to force change. Many times it's not worth it. You know, it's like, it's not called bravery standing in front of a truck which is speeding at 200 kilometers per hour. I think that's called foolishness. All right? So, do we have the song ready? Okay, let's play the song first with the lyrics so everybody can, you know, catch on the lyrics. So, yep, let's have the song up with the lyrics. And, you know, before you watch this song, I want you to imagine, you know, all those people who have put you down all this time. You have some people like that? Who are dream stealers, who tell you cannot be done. You know, you're a moron, this can never be done, this never works, you're stupid to do this. You had people like that? Are you going to show that passion, that energy, and that anger you have against those people who probably told you that this cannot be done? The voices of those people that put you down. Are you sure you can give it your best? I don't know. I'm not convinced. If this was the only chance for you to give your best, all right, and the maximum intensity with which you could participate in the song and for the next 2 minutes, if that would decide forever your attitude for dealing with dream stealers, how would you participate in the next 2 minutes? If the next 2 minutes, the way you participate, if that would decide your attitude for the rest of your life of dealing with people whose only purpose is to put you down, how will you participate in the next 2 minutes? All right, let's have the song with the video. All right. All right, keep standing, keep standing. In these 4 days, you will learn a lot of things. And as you walk out into your life and you start practicing these things, do you think you will fall? Let me tell you, you will. Because you don't master skills just by hearing about them. I don't think you mastered any skill in your life by hearing somebody explaining how to do it. If you learned singing, if you learned dancing, if you learned cooking, if you learned anything, you've fallen down many times. Have you? Are you afraid of falling? I am not convinced. Are you afraid of falling? What will you do when you fall down? What will you do when you fall down? What will you do when you fall down? You fall down, then you get up. 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 You fall down and you get up. And you walk and you move and you march. You do not move like chicken or hen or deer which move around. You are like a rhino. How does a rhino go? It charges right ahead. So when you fall down, what will you do? You fall down, you get up. You fall down, you get up.